What's going on, guys? Rhyme Teacher now, and we're here with the GPL week number 5 Pickems for the Johto League. By we, of course, I mean myself and my esteemed co-host Exo. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. What's going on, GPL community?
Right, and on the screen right now, you can see the results of week 4's matches. Pretty spicy ones. We're not going to go over it here, of course. For those of you who want to meme on me that I backed against myself, looks like I paid off. But either way, of course, with the way the points worked out, we move on to me closing the gap by 1 point. So I'm still behind Exo. He's still ahead of me for now. Not liking that, but you know what? 12 to 14 with a few weeks left to go. Not too bad. So, for those of you who haven't seen how Pickems works, either side of me are two coaches that are playing this week. We're going to break them both down and pick a winner plus a scoreline. This match has actually already happened at the time we're recording this, and Exo has unfortunately already seen it, so this match is not going to count. I actually haven't watched it, so I actually haven't got a clue what happens in this one. But being honest, as much as it doesn't count, I personally feel like Sun plus Comma O just murders Winter. In Weather Wars, typically the better mechanical player wins. So if I had to be honest, I back DJ to 4-0 this game, but that's about as far as I can go. I just don't see a way for Winter to beat DJ in a straight-up Weather War. But DJ might make the odd mistake and maybe lose him on. That's basically all I can say for that one. But moving swiftly on from that one, we'll go straight into Tulip. Are playing this week. And that is going to be Professor Elm versus Arvid. Two of the middle of the pack, really kind of playoff chasers of the league. How does this one go, Nexa? This is a tight one.
Okay, so this is pretty interesting. The Sun actually, if Elm brings Ninetales, is actually going to be really good for Arvid, because if he brings like Charizard with Solar Beam and all the coverage that it gets, it's very bad for Elm. I don't even think Ninetales has come in this game, looking at it.
No, I don't see Ninetales having the best matchup anyway. I mean, the only thing that it realistically has much odds of beating is Melmetal, of course. But again, like, Melmetal does get Earthquake, which means Ninetales isn't living a hit. So it's always a bit of a problem for it. Alongside that, Runerigus is annoying for Ninetales as well. I think Ninetales just gets Shadow Ball, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. Obviously, G-Max matchup, we have still yet to see anything from this Inteleon, as Professor Elm keeps maxing it in front of a bulky water type. That is something that probably needs to be adjusted, although on this occasion the bulky water type is Mantine, which doesn't have the best matchup in the world either. Looking at this, I do feel like a potential Togekiss could be annoying, especially even just running Specs. Specs Flamethrower actually does a lot. Can actually kind of hit a lot of this team. It does obviously, of course, get things like Dazzling Gleam for the Goodra, although Goodra with AV kind of sits in on it and doesn't care. So, kind of an interesting dilemma for both players. I think both players have potential strengths, but both players also have pretty bad pitfalls. Obviously, with Elm's team not being the super fastest outside of Cubali and Weavile and Inteleon, I don't see Inteleon having the best time in the world. Goodra actually can really put the hurt in on it. Does of course get Power Whip as a coverage move. I feel like Goodra and Melmetal plus Charizard is such a huge annoyance for a lot of teams to prep for, and I don't really see the best ways for Professor Elm to break all three of them.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. You did mention like the Melmetal, and if Ninetales doesn't come, there's not much that can really break Melmetal very reliably. So like you got the Cobalion that can go special, but then it just gets walled by Mantine minus I guess full switch. But there's a lot of things that I think Arvid's team sort of counters on Elm's team, which is like Drapion counters the Corsola, and like Charizard counters the Ninetales, like it actually coming in general. I think there's a lot more options for Arvid's team, whereas Elm really can't bring some of these Pokemon.
Yeah, it's also worth noting, really, outside of the Weavile necessarily, and I guess Cobalion, that Elm's team is very, very specially offensive. When you look at how its big hard hitters are at, they're primarily special. And given the fact that there's a Mantine and a Goodra that are both incredibly specially bulky, that really does cause a lot of problems. Even Miltank, like Miltank has very solid special bulk. Could be a bit of an underrated pick, but generally speaking, I feel like Arvid has too many tools at his disposal for Elm, and I don't know if Elm can beat all of them. So, just going straight on that basis, I am going to give the win to Arvid. I'm going to give him a 4-0, I think.
Okay, that's definitely solid. With skill level, I do feel like Elm and Arvid are pretty close, but like the matchup is pretty heavily in Arvid's favor. I'm gonna give Arvid. I'll give him a 3-0.
Yeah, I can see that. I think either way, I think we're both fairly comfortable at Arvid's winning. But alright. Battle number 3 then, or 2 for this week that actually counts, is going to be an interesting one with 2 players that are kind of on the rise right now. It's going to be Denny, of course, who took a pretty comfortable win over Winter, versus Nico, who took a bit of an upset, taking down DJ. This one, I'm kind of looking at this as like, is Nico going to upset the apple cart again? Because, honestly, I feel like Denny's playing better than I've seen him play in a long time. Obviously, he's had a rough start, but then he's turned up pretty huge. Obviously, Nico still struggling to get to grips with his team. I'm trying to look for where I would want to see Nico push here. Because he's definitely used that Psychic Core pretty well, but there's a Gengar that outspeeds. Or at least the Indeedee anyway.
I mean, I'm looking at the Cinderace. I think the Cinderace is pretty well in this game. The Drogon, takes the fire moves, but there's not... I mean, Milotic as well, but other than those two, there's not many that like to take a fire... was it Fireball? I'm bad at remembering.
Yeah.
But like that, it learns that, and like High Jump Kick, and a few other coverage moves I forgot, like maybe Gunk Shot too as well.
That's
but
Gunk Shot, yeah. Also gets Sucker Punch as well for the Gengar.
Yeah, it has so many moves. I think in the G-Max War, I definitely think Cinderace is a little bit better in this matchup as opposed to Gengar versus Nico's team.
I think they both break down different things though, and that's the kind of difficult part of it. Is like who positions their G-Max better, who makes the most of it. Obviously, Gengar naturally outspeeds Cinderace if I remember correctly, so that could definitely cause issues. But again, there is a Sucker Punch sitting there, and Gengar's physical defense we all know is made of paper, so that can definitely cause problems. That being said though, Rillaboom does get ground coverage. Can potentially disrupt it, but again, it's got to be able to live the hit. It's going to be pretty hard for that to live a Fireball. Might have to be more defensive in that mind, or running things like Bulk Up, like sub-Bulk Up style sets. Definitely an interesting one, because there's a Cinderace on both sides.
I do think Cinderace does outspeed the Gengar. I think because Gengar is 110, and I think
Gengar
Cinderace
is 110, yeah. Why did I think it was 120 for some reason? I was too used to fighting other things. But yeah, Cinderace is faster at 119, so...
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, who's going to position their G-Max better. Hazards are going to be pretty key, because whittling down the counters to the G-Maxes are going to be key. And, of course, removing it, which, for looking at removal, I sort of like Nico's better, because he has more answers to Corviknight, which would be, like, the premier defogger on Denny's team. But then again, Denny has Cinderace, so you never know. Yeah,
I mean, I don't see Core Change ever having a factor in this, being honest. Obviously, as both teams have it. Obviously, hazards-wise... There's not the hugest amount of hazards on either side, to be honest. There's not the biggest amount. Obviously, with the only rocker on Nico's team being Lunatone, which I don't really ever envisage coming to a game, that can cause an issue. So it's mostly going to be coming from Spikes, which is going to be Klefki, of course. That's really it. There's not a lot of hazards otherwise. So that's kind of an interesting dilemma. Klefki itself... not really the greatest matchup. It's kind of okay, but it's not super good. So it could be a bring, but makes it difficult. I feel like looking at this, I'm kind of liking Dinny's team a lot more. I feel like Dinny's team has a lot of weaponry to use, and I don't know if Nico's positioning has been super solid. I feel like he is fairly prone to getting outplayed. So, on that logic, I feel like I kind of want to go for Dinny here. And I'll give him a 4-0 again. I think there's a good chance that Dinny outplays this.
Okay. As much as I do want to back Nico this time, because I do like the Cinderace in this game, yeah, I didn't notice that his only rocker is Lunatone, actually, which is pretty rough. I'll give it to Dinny as well. I'm gonna give him a closer one. I'll give him a... They're gonna hate me again, but 2-0.
Alright then, next up on the docket is gonna be Burger versus myself. This one proves an interesting one, of course, Burger being the strongest in the other division, and I'm not in particularly good form right now. So, this definitely proves an interesting one. What are you thinking?
So, I like the Tox in this game, gonna be honest. I think that was a decent amount of work. I mean, going down, I guess Bronzong takes it, Mudsdale. So, okay, maybe not that well. Of course, Dragapult is always scary against any team, so that's definitely a threat. But your team has a decent amount of answers to a lot of his Pokemon. Like, there's a few quote-unquote usually useless moves that some of these Pokemon have that you can actually counter decent amount of these Pokemon. I'm not gonna say what they are on here, but you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as much as we have certain things, and obviously we meme on Burger for being a stall team, but like looking at the way that his team matches up, I actually can answer his offense surprisingly well. I think a lot of people may not spot that, but yeah, there are definitely some funny little tricks. There's one or two that I already have spotted, which may or may not be coming. We'll have to see. But yeah, generally speaking, it's kind of an interesting one, because if Burger plays standard, I don't think he'll beat me. But if he plays like something out there and a bit more creative, he may have an odds-on chance, but very, very difficult to know. Tox is a bit of a bind, has to be honest. The only advantage for me on that front is it's not the fastest thing in the world, so I have ways to play around it. But yeah, Dragapult and Lycanroc are probably the two things that are the biggest nuisance for me. Lycanroc especially is kind of terrifying, especially if I can't get set up against it, or if I can't get in position to make it work. But yeah, I just got to play around his offense as well as I can, because defensively I don't think he matches up to me. I have a lot of power on this team, so if he can't stack up to me, then he's going to have to be careful. Like, Skarmory is really annoying, because a lot of my better offense is physical. But then Volcarona just kind of says, what up? What are you going to do about me? So that's something I have to be a little careful with. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a pretty even-ish matchup. This is going to come down to who's playing better. Which, to be fair, Burger's playing better than me right now. But who knows? Obviously, there's always room for me to rise up. I can't really get much worse than I already am, so... I feel like it's if I'm going to be able to outplay him or not. Or if I'm going to play better. That's the kind of question that needs to be asked. But honestly, if I do play well, I think I beat Burger. So I am going to give myself a win, but it's going to be close. I'm going to say 2-0.
Okay. Yeah, I think there is definitely some room for you to pull out a win. Especially like... I do like the Mimikyu in this game. I think the Noivern outspeeds a lot of his team, besides of course the Dragapult, but can definitely put him some work as well. Yeah, you would definitely have some room to work with. However, I sort of like Burger's matchup a little bit better. I'm gonna give him the win. I'm gonna give him a... I'm gonna give him a 4-0. I know he wants me to give him a 6-0 every single time, but I can't do that.
No, I don't think he's ever really 6-0ing me, unless I play really badly.
Yeah.
Alright. Which means last up on the docket is going to be the current undefeated Gecko, of course, versus Sylvie, who unfortunately lost last week on a damage roll, which kind of sucked. But this one is actually very, very strong. I think both players have actually played pretty well this season. Obviously, Sylvie's not had the best fortune in the world in terms of his RNG, but Akami's, of course, just turning up huge. But honestly, I don't see him turning up as huge this time round. We say this every week, but Zeraora is a nightmare for most teams. And this is not the kind of team that you really want to be bringing to a Zeraora game. Like, Zeraora plus Sylveon actually really nukes the majority of this team. If not all of it, for that matter.
Yeah, there's definitely some answers on Gecko Kami's team. Like, I like the Weezing. I think the Weezing's decent in this match. I don't think Zeraora has a super effective hit against it. I might be wrong. Does it have Zen Headbutt?
That's the move I'm thinking it might have. I'll have to look.
Okay. I mean, Dusclops can take a knockoff, which then can Will-O-Wisp, so that's actually not the worst either.
It doesn't get Zen Headbutt.
Yeah, so I think Gecko Kami has to bring Weezing to sort of counteract the Zeraora, because everything else doesn't want to take a hit from it. Of course, Grimmsnarl can take one, especially if it's like bulk up.
Doesn't really want to play rough though.
Yeah, it could definitely take a play rough, but it's not going to take two. So, yeah, it's going to be tough, but it just depends, because it all depends on who plays better, honestly. If the Zeraora can stay alive and do some work like last time, then it'll be close.
It is definitely close. It is going to be an execution one. Normally we meme on Sylvie that he never executes, but this time around he's actually turning up. Honestly, I want to see an upset happen. I'm going to give the win to Sylvie. And I'm going to give him a 2-0.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Man. Do I think Gecko Kami is gonna lose this match? Man, it is tough, because I could definitely see him losing to the Zeraora, but I'm gonna give it to Gecko Kami this time. He's gonna somehow bring some weird, like, counter set on something, kill the Zeraora, and just somehow win. I'm gonna give him a 3-0.
I reckon it'd be counter Slowking, if that even gets counter. Just like fully fist F Slowking counter, you know? Take the Plasma Fist and yeet it out of existence. No, who knows? But either way, that's going to be a really fun match. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. But either way, that concludes our Pickems, of course, for the Johto League. Let us know what you think it's going to be. The results are in the league predictions in the Discord. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Rybombi Teacher. That's Exo.
Good luck, Johto.
Alright, stay safe, stay awesome. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.